Welcome to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast, where we aim to help fellow veterinary rehab therapists increase their knowledge and elevate their practice. I'm Megan Kelly.
And I'm Anae Lloyd. Together, we bring you the latest insights, research, and information in the field of veterinary rehabilitation.
This podcast is brought to you by Onlinepethealth, a leading continuing education membership for veterinary rehabilitation therapists. With Onlinepethealth, you'll have access to a wide range of online resources to help you stay up to date with the latest techniques, advances, and trends in the industry.
Our podcast features in-depth conversations with leading experts in veterinary rehabilitation. They share their own experiences and knowledge to help you improve your practice. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out in the field, our goal is to provide you with the tools and the insights you need to succeed.
So join us as we explore the exciting world of veterinary rehabilitation and help you take your practice to the next level.
Hey vet rehabbers! Social media is constantly evolving, and if we want to stay ahead, we need to keep up with the trends shaping the digital landscape. In today's episode, I sit down with DeWilde to talk about the biggest social media trends for 2025 and how veterinary professionals can leverage them to grow their practices, attract more clients, and streamline their marketing efforts. So we dive into AI in marketing, how to use it to boost efficiency and eliminate the need for expensive copywriters, the dominance of short-form video, why it's taking over, and how you can integrate it into your strategy without feeling overwhelmed. The two top platforms that Caitlin recommends for veterinary professionals that are seeing massive traction right now. She also chats about the rise of social commerce and the influencer effect. Should veterinary professionals consider influencers in their marketing strategy? There's so much to unpack in this conversation, and I know you're going to walk away with actionable insights to level up your social media game in 2025. We've also put together over 120 ready-to-use social media templates that are designed specifically for vet rehab practices. Now, these templates will save you time, keep your content looking professional, and help you stay consistent with your online presence. So if you want to check them out, head over to onlinepethealth.com/social to learn more. A quick word from our sponsor before we dive in. At Paw Prosper, we believe true pet well-being demands a three-pronged approach: prevention, support, and rehabilitation. Our brands are trusted by veterinarians, universities, and rehab facilities alike. So whether you're looking to train, rehabilitate, or help your patients age gracefully, our brands Walking Pets, Help 'em Up, Response Systems, Fit Paws, Muffins, Halos, Sleepy Pod, and Canine Cards offer effective, innovative, and proven solutions. You can sign up today to receive a one-time special gift for all our podcast listeners with your next order. So you can go to this special link, pawprosper.com/OPH. All right, let's head over to my chat with Caitlin.
Hey, Caitlin, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me again. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it was like, I think probably a year ago when I interviewed you on the podcast, and we were chatting about your book that you just launched, The Social Media and Marketing for Veterinary Professionals. So I know we were chatting now and you were saying it's time to update it. So you've got like 2.0 coming. And last time we chatted about like the trends and what's happening in social media in 2024, and I can't believe it, here we are again now, and we're talking about 2025, and lots is happening and lots has changed. So I don't envy you having this book because you're continually going to be updating it. So you know that.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good and a bad thing. It's fascinating that things change so frequently and sometimes so unexpectedly, but it's sometimes hard to keep up on for sure.
Yeah. I mean, how do you advise veterinary professionals to keep up with all the social media? I mean, because sometimes I think, like I'm in the online world. So,
Sure.
I'm keeping up all the time with it. But I wonder how, like, people that are focusing on other things, like treating animals and doing all the important stuff, they don't have time to, like, do
Correct.
Facebook courses and watch, like, TikTok videos and YouTube videos on how to do things. So yeah, what's your advice regarding that?
Yeah, it's hard. And even for me, and this is what I do full time, like I won't lie that it is a challenge to be able to do this and to keep up on it and to not only like know about it, but try it and see if it works for you and those things. Most of the time what I tell people is, marketing in some way should be a part of your CE, just like everything else, right? Especially if you're a a practice owner or business owner of some kind, manager, something like that. It's just it's yet another piece of the puzzle, right? You have to do payroll and HR, and you just have to make that effort to do that. But more importantly, I think what I usually tell people is really focusing on what's the practice's pain point or what's the business's pain point, and then find that solution. And inevitably marketing comes in because of that. And it's a lot easier to like learn and be open to trying when you know it could help solve a problem. And that helps you also focus because there's so much out there that you could do. But I think you and I have talked about this before, just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? But if you focus it to like, oh, this particular marketing avenue could help me solve this hiring problem or booking problem or sales problem, whatever it is, it's a little bit more palatable and easy to manage. So
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Like, actually don't try and keep up to date with everything,
yeah.
because that's not really going to serve you. Work out what your problem is, what the solution is, and then keep up to date with that. So learn about that, then you can solve a problem in your business. Because there's so many books, and I mean, there's so many different platforms, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, what are the platforms that you recommend now for veterinary professionals to concentrate on?
Yeah, so right now, just Facebook and Instagram from a social standpoint. There's a broader category if you're talking about online reputation and things like that. But at least here in the States, Facebook and Instagram are going to be the primary. There's always the threat of, TikTok being amazing or being gone. We don't know,
Yeah.
So,
It's up and down. Like one
yeah.
day, gone. Next day
Yeah.
it's back.
Just kidding. Yeah, who knows? Crazy billionaires buy social platforms and do things with them. You just can't rely on these things. But the reality is, for a lot of veterinarian practices, TikTok is wonderful if you have somebody that's willing to make lots and lots of video content, and most practices aren't doing that anyway. So
Yeah.
I haven't found TikTok to be a huge benefit for most traditional practices. Facebook and Instagram tend to be that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I mean, I must say, even in like just online business, for me, Instagram and Facebook, I'd love to chat about those two, because I've seen such a shift in the two of them.
Yeah.
Facebook used to be like our primary platform, and we really like I really like to concentrate primarily on one, like have a primary platform, and then like 90% of my time on that one platform, and then 10% on the secondary platform. But it's actually been a slow shift where we're sort of not wanting to leave Facebook, because it's always been the place where we get the biggest reach and the most engagement. But we really, over the last, I would say, year and a bit, have just seen such better results coming from Instagram, not consistently, but sometimes just like amazing results, like engagements. And I don't know whether it's an algorithm changes happen on Facebook, but I feel like you have to pay to play in Facebook now, whereas
Absolutely.
Instagram, that organic reach is still there. I mean, just in my Dr. Megan Kelly, so it's my passive income veterinarian Instagram page, I got one reel that had 1.3 million views.
Yeah.
And that was completely organic,
Nice.
And we have ones that come like, 40,000, 50,000, not all the time. Like every now and again, we'll have one. Most of them are between 5 and 10,000 our reach. But we get these ones that just go crazy. And I find it so much harder to get that in Facebook. And the longevity of the posts we're seeing in Facebook is just so short. It's like 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours, and then it's gone. And what we're seeing now with Instagram is that reels that we posted even 6 months ago suddenly are starting to take off again, and we're starting to get traction from them, and starting to see comments and and likes and engagement through it, and followers through them, which is amazing, because when you're spending so much time creating content, you want longevity, and I think that's one of the things that frustrates people when they're first starting out on social media. They'll spend all this time creating visuals and all the text and everything, they post it, and then nothing happens. Is this something similar to what you're seeing over there, and with the veterinary practices that you're dealing with?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely true. So the key things that you identified that are true here are, yes, Facebook, it is a pay to play. Like if you're not spending any money, you're not going to have wild success. But it doesn't have to be a ton of money, which is great.
Yeah.
So, and we could certainly dive into that a little bit, but Instagram for sure, those like happy surprises of like, oh, great, we've gone viral, or we're getting a lot of engagement, does tend to still happen. If it's going to happen, I would also guess that it's going to happen on Instagram and the reels in particular, because when you think about engaging content, nobody's like, oh my gosh, that's an amazing infographic that you made in Canva, right? They're going to connect and engage with a video more likely that tends to show a person and or a pet. That's much more engaging than a photo or just a standard graphic. So, some of it's the media and some of it's the platform itself. But I agree, it tends to seem like Instagram is becoming more essential. Like even 2 years ago, I would have been like, look, if you have to pick one, just pick Facebook because of the primary demographic. I don't know that that's true anymore. And when we think about the younger generations that are coming up, like I have two people that work in my practice that are like, Facebook is for old people. It's like a knife through my heart, but I'm like, realistically, those are people that are pet owners. And, if we think about them wanting to have a relationship for the lifetime of a pet, then we need to be on those platforms where they are. And apparently it's not always Facebook.
So let's chat about that like short form, like video dominance, because we don't really see the same like reach if we're looking at reels on Instagram compared to reels on Facebook. And I wonder whether this has got to do with the demographic, as you say. But like we can create a reel on Instagram and it's a hit. Like we like, whoa, this reel is doing so good. And then we're like, let's go look at Instagram, Facebook, and compared to Instagram, and we're like, it tanked, like completely tanked. And I wonder whether it is the different age groups of people, because the younger generation are just so like, that short form video, like that's what they love to consume. And yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's the age demographic and the type of content they prefer to consume. I think people my age and older probably tend to be less video centric. Even myself, I mean, this is what I do all the time. I would prefer to read an article than to watch a video, which is weird. But it's just my preference,
Yeah.
Also maybe because I'm, often consuming social media when I'm somewhere else. I'm in line for picking up the kids or at soccer practice or something like that. So to me, it's much easier to just read something quietly than to watch a video. That said, I know that the videos are so much more appealing and that rapid fire, rapid dopamine response that you can't get in an article, right? So it's all about trying to find the healthy mix. But I'll push Instagram reels. I'll go ahead and put them on Facebook. But you're right, they don't do as well. I also think there are people that consume Instagram only in stories and reels, not looking at a traditional feed. So when I talk about that, like scrolling horizontally across Instagram rather than vertically, right? I think on Facebook, while you can watch reels, it's not the same experience, and most people still scroll feed wise. And so the reels don't do as well. But if you're just reel after reel after reel after reel, they're just going to keep serving you great reels. And then it's easy for that engagement number to go up.
Yeah, and I think the algorithm on Instagram, I mean, just for me, when I'm looking, I feel like it knows what I want to look at on Instagram. Whereas on Facebook, I'll be like, oh no, you got that wrong, and then I'm like, I'm off the reels, then I just go back to the feed. I'm like, I'm not watching all this rubbish, So yeah, I think the Instagram algorithm, they've definitely got something right there.
For sure. And I mean, it'll be interesting to see in the coming months. Like there's, at least here, there's so much dynamic and, political involvement and all the things. Like I'm really going to be interested to see how usership really changes over the next 6 to 12 months, at least here in the States.
Yeah. Well, there's always something happening with you guys.
Yeah, it's not good. We're not proud of it. At least I'm not.
So another thing I love about the reels, and I especially feel this for like veterinary professionals. So whether you have a veterinary practice or a vet physio practice or vet rehab practice, whatever, like we have such a unique opportunity to like elicit emotion in people and show like the tender moments and the joyous moments of like animals recovering and sick animals to like suddenly like walking again, like paralyzed dog nuts walking again. And like there's so much we can share. Like, and I think about, like my husband, for example, he has like a decking and flooring company, like there's so many like before and afters you can do. Like,
Sure.
whereas with us, there's like a whole story, there's people, there's the animal, you can get it to like, its character. And like, we literally have an advantage because of what
Sure.
and people love things about animals,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's your target market is your client
Yeah.
is loving animals. So anything that's happening there and they're sharing, and especially if you're sharing a story,
Right.
they love that. So yeah, we've got such a great opportunity. Can you go through like some ideas for reels that people could use like in their clinics?
Yeah, yeah. Reels are, I think there's this huge pressure we put on ourselves because we see these people who are professional content creators or have professional editing and they have these great things out there. But the reality is, I think the more natural it is, the more likely it is to convert with our audience because it seems more like something that they could experience or their pets could experience. Like I can't imagine like flooring and decking, for instance, or like accounting, or it would just
What
be
do
like,
they do?
oh, right. Look at this great tax return.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Or on the calculator.
let me get boop boop boop. So
Yeah.
we have so many amazing things to share, but it doesn't have to be hard. So some of the easy reels that I tell people to start with. Number one, slow-mo video of a dog running towards you, like just down your hallway in your clinic, is like mind-boggling. Everyone loves that, especially if they're like a basset or like something big-eared and jowly where it's.
Yeah.
Same thing like after an ear cleaning when they're shaking and just doing that slow-mo. Like these are like entry level. This is like gateway drug reel stuff, right? Like just try these and you can see it doesn't need to be 30 seconds. It can be 12. Like that's fine. It doesn't have to be long. The other things I love to see that are easy are pets either coming in or out of your hospital, happy, wagging. Like that's great. Even close up of a cat. Like we did one that was showing how to properly carry a cat into your practice. Like, some people just like careen and swinging the carrier all over the place. Like, just, okay, this is what we would recommend. And, just showing that. Like, and the camera is, you've probably heard of this called faceless reels, which is something great for veterinary professionals because they don't like to be on camera. But even just training the camera on that cat and that cat carrier or on that dog, it doesn't have to involve the people and it can still be successful. The other types of reels that I like are just engaging with the pet. Like if the pet jumps up on the table and your technician is petting it, or you're hooking up IV fluids and the dog is just like chilling and like kind of looking cute. Those are easy things to do. And people
Yeah.
instantly are like, oh, what are they doing? What's going on? People will stop and watch that. If it is a sick pet or like oh my gosh, they're here for IV fluids, people immediately are like, oh no, like love them, right?
Yeah.
Which is like a kind of a sneaky way to get engagement, but certainly a way to do so. But, of course, the longer forms like putting together where you actually do have to edit, right? Like the before and afters, especially for the rehab community. But we work with a couple of rehab vets or physical, not therapy, but rehabilitation services, and just showing like what does laser look like, and the dog is totally comfortable and fine. What is a dog doing cavalettis? Like people naturally are like, what is that? And they will stop and watch, and they aren't even aware of these services. So it doesn't have to always involve somebody speaking and like face on, like, hey, okay, we're going to show you what's going on behind the scenes. It can just be the animal, and that's so easy.
Yeah,
Is my
I love those type of videos. Like, so I call them B-roll. So it's just like little short clips of just like things happening and just put a trending order behind it and some text on the screen, and they're a win. Like those are an absolute win. People love, and like you say, just like getting the emotion of the dog. Is it happy, and like how is it? So yeah, those are definitely great ones. Thanks for all those examples. And also what I wanted to say is like, you don't have to actually edit them. If you just film it
Like,
and
yeah.
then just cut the front and the back off, like, if you were talking or something there. And then if you need to edit, I actually really like TikTok's editing software, CapCut. I find it really, really easy. I am like the most impatient person. Like, I don't like going onto like editing softwares that are
Yeah.
too simple. Like, they have to be super easy. And when I use CapCut, I always just delete that last thing so the CapCut doesn't come at the back, So the very
Yeah.
last black little block that's there, I'll delete it, and then you wouldn't even know, and I download it. So yeah, those are the ones that I use. Any editing softwares that you can recommend, or would you just do it straight in the app?
I often just do it straight on my phone, just in an iPhone, like just edit the native video, because same as you, I am a veterinarian, not a editor. I don't like it. And so I'll just do it there. I've actually been playing around quite a bit with CapCut, but also Canva has gotten a lot better. And a lot of people that are already doing marketing and kind of in this space are very familiar with Canva, and they're like naturally a more comfortable environment, so to speak. So it's gotten a lot better too. So sometimes we'll do that. And to be truthful, if I'm doing something really extensive or like a really big important project, like outsource that. If you hate it, if it means it's done, like outsource it. And probably there's a teenager in your life or a younger employee that's excellent and very fast at doing so. So I find
Teenagers in your life, those are the ones to look for. I'm actually doing some video recording for Online Pet Health, and I've got a 15-year-old who
yeah.
I've just spotted because she's been videoing like a lot of my girls and horse shows.
Mhm.
She hasn't videoed them yet, but she's videoed other kids, and she's got such amazing like skills. And so I just sent her a message because I've been seeing all these videos, and I was like, oh, I'd really like it if you could video my girls at their next show. And she said, oh, send me a message back and say, I don't think I can go because I don't think my mom can drive me. So I was like, oh, like, how old are
Oh,
you? She's like, I'm 15. She's got this little business. I'm paying her per hour, and she's going to come and she's going to film, and 15-year-olds, and just like, yeah, such good skills. And my daughters are also getting up there too. So I often get them to help me. So just
yeah.
edit that,
Yeah.
sort that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good place in your practice. Find somebody who's got a young kid, or if you've got a teenager, and give them a little job on the
Give them a
side.
little job. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's chat about TikTok. It's not a platform that I'm a fan of at all. Like we actually went through a stage probably about a year and a half ago where I said to the team, like, TikTok is where it's happening, and like the trends were like everyone was talking about TikTok. Gary Vaynerchuk was like, if you're not on TikTok, you're going to get left behind. And I was panicking and thought, flip, we better be on TikTok. And we like tried and tried and tried and tried. And we were just getting so frustrated because we just weren't getting the reach. And it's because we've got serious things that we're talking about now,
Right.
like continuing education, and no
Right.
one in TikTok is really interested in it, and
Right.
our target audience obviously wasn't there because we just
Yeah.
literally, I really didn't enjoy it. But there are a lot of dog and veterinary videos that are on there. So I
Hmm.
do see a lot of people. In your experience, is this veterinary practices, or are these just like a nurse or somebody who's just got their own sort of platform themselves, and they're just creating videos and like obviously wanting to be like an influencer or something like that?
Sure. Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. Like for people like you and I, it's not a thing, right? It's not going to be um, a really insightful platform. We're not going to engage as well there. But for regular veterinarians or even rehab veterinarians, it can show and explain, then it's great because that's what people want. They want short, quick snippets, and they don't want to be thinking about business per se. But they do want to think about their pets and their family or things that they're interested in. So I have seen some veterinarians do some amazing things on TikTok. If they're willing to be on video quite a bit and are willing to post frequently enough for the algorithm. But sometimes it's just answering, like common pet owner questions. Like one of the best examples I can give, there's a veterinarian named Dr. Faith Banks in Canada, and her TikToks are about, she's an end of life veterinarian, and owns an aquamation facility. And so, when she is talking, she's addressing, just very common questions like, you know, do pets close their eyes when they pass away? Or, does euthanasia hurt? Or things like that. And some of her videos have millions and millions and millions of views. So it's proof that it can work for the veterinary industry if you're really answering those questions and you're willing to be very much on camera. It's the opposite of the faceless reels, I feel like. You pretty much have to have your face on TikTok to succeed. So it's a different goal. You have to really think about why you're using it and why you want to do it, and then what the end game is. So when clinics ask me, like traditional clinics will say, "Oh, should I be on TikTok?" I'm like, "Well, what's the main reason you're using marketing and social media?" And most of the time they can't answer that. But I'm like, okay, if you're just doing it because you want to do some of the fun dances, it's not worth it. But if you're going to be like, okay, let's dive into 3 things you need to know about dental health, 1 thing you should know about kidneys, 1 thing, like those kind of things, sure. So it just depends on your goals.
I mean, let's be real. Like you're a veterinary practice or a vet rehab practice, and you're in a certain location. I mean, you're on social media and it's wonderful to get all those views and, but it only really serves you if the people that are in your area are actually looking. It's just,
100% true.
yeah. So what are the things that we can do? Like, and so that's where I sort of feel like with the TikTok algorithm, you literally just like go viral, and how many of the people are you actually reaching? So like one of the things I like about Instagram is you can actually put your location in your post there, like one of the advanced features. I'm not sure how much that helps to push it out to that area. Maybe and then on Facebook, I think the algorithm mainly pushes it out first to people in your area. But there isn't a way to tag that. But I suppose if you have a practice and you have like, this is where we're at, and both Instagram and I don't know if that's the same for TikTok, but I've been told that, you literally, if you have a brick and mortar practice or even a business, the likelihood that you're reaching people like right in your area is very slim in TikTok.
Sure.
Opinions
Yeah,
on that?
I think so. Agreed. And I would rather have 10 engaged potential clients that live in my town than 400 or 1,000 people just randomly on any social platform. But I think that's why it's essential that your content, needs to speak to your audience specifically. So, for Faith, that's very much a, okay, end of life space. But I've seen there's someone I follow on TikTok here, and I live in St. Louis, Missouri, right in the middle. And he's a realtor. I'm not looking for a house. I have no intention to move, but I will watch his stuff because he goes to places around St. Louis that I recognize, right? So he'll be filming and I can see, oh, he's at this place. And so it's very much a hyper local following, for what he's doing, which makes sense for him. So he's growing his name and reputation, even with people that are not necessarily looking to buy. But if I am now, I'm like, oh, well, he is a realtor in St. Louis. So I could name him, right? So it's a bit of a long game if that's what you're playing. But, when you think about your existing clientele or the people that you want to be clientele, it's something you have to think about when you're actually starting to talk about it. So for TikTok or for really any video, even on Instagram, I would specifically, make sure it's well known where your practice is and that you are accepting patients or that you'd love to see them. I think a lot of people think, oh, they're a TikTok celebrity or something. No, we're really like real people, and
we work.
please book an appointment for sure.
Another thing that's happening on TikTok is these like TikTok shops.
Yeah.
And like this sort of social commerce, I guess it's called.
Sure.
And this is really new. Like I've just seen it like come up a few months ago, and people like starting their TikTok shops. And I wonder, it's a new trend that's coming out, and we're not sure where it's going. And I wonder what what space the veterinary world and how that will impact on them, whether it's something that veterinary practice would be able to do, create a TikTok
Yeah.
shop. There are Instagram shops too, but it's
Sure.
not as big as the TikTok shop. The TikTok
Yeah.
shops are bigger, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it would be an interesting exploration. I don't know anyone that's done it well from a traditional practice sense. Mostly because I think we're always, as veterinarians, looking for like what integrates. Like how do we take that purchase and get it, out of the TikTok shop and, fulfill it and ship it, and
Yeah.
but also like notate it in the medical record, right? Like that's a nightmare of like a not, integrated approach. Now, for people like you and I, or people that have other products that are not like prescription level, I think there's certainly an opportunity there and a market there. And I think it'll be interesting to see how people use it. But it's something I know, like, just from other people. I thought, like, for some reason my algorithm is very skewed to cleaning. And so like I'll see like the kitchen, like the refrigerator organization projects or products or something like that, and I'm like, oh well, this is very, very appealing. And certainly I can see why they make it easy to buy, which, even if veterinarians don't use TikTok shop, that's a lesson, right? The lesson there is, what barriers do we have? And even from shopping with our own practice, like, let's make it as easy as possible. You don't even have to leave what you're in. If you're inspired to take action, do so. But I think as veterinarians, we're not really good at doing that traditionally. So we'll see how they maybe
Yeah,
TikTok makes it easier.
like you say, it's the fulfillment. But I suppose if you already have an online shop,
Yeah,
then
sure.
there must be a way to link it. Like if you've already got the online shop, then you can just transition it over to a TikTok shop.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but now I'm like, maybe I should try
Yeah.
this.
So the other thing which like I've seen that's really trending is like influencers.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering, I know in the vet rehab world, especially the equine people, they
Mhm.
use influencers quite a lot.
Sure.
Top show jumpers or top dressage horse, they will sponsor them, and they might give them numbers, and they'll treat their horses and things like that. I haven't really seen it much in the small animal world. And I wonder how this sort of works in the veterinary world. But any comments about that, and any practices that that are using influencers really successfully, and how they're doing it?
Yeah, I certainly know of several practices, and then just like traditional veterinary influencers that have co-influencer relationships, right, with either products or other influencers. I do know a couple practices where they have really invested in finding out that they had a celebrity dog or cat, so to speak. So, and then making sure to treat them well, and to,
Yeah.
even, a couple of them, I've seen them have like a photo shoot thing, or a visit at the open house, like that kind of thing. But I haven't seen it be like their business has grown exponentially because of this, famous Instagram dog being a patient. But
Mm.
I think the lesson there is, could it happen? Sure. But more importantly, are you engaging with the patients or the clients that are influencers and are socially active? So I think what a lot of practices, and even rehab groups, and even associations in the veterinary space, what they're not doing is asking and engaging with those people, or those accounts, right? So I work with clinics all the time, and they have no idea that they've been tagged or mentioned in posts, because they're not monitoring that. I'm like, this person or this dog or this cat has 90,000 followers, and they tagged your clinic, and you didn't even like heart it. Like, come on.
Yeah.
you know
Oh,
or like say something. Like, if people are going to mention you online, like, you should be there to respond.
yeah.
um some of that again goes back to like, is that my audience or not? Yes, my clinic, for instance, has a celebrity cat that has a huge following, but they're not necessarily all local. So part of me is like, I mean, I'll take advantage of it. It's good press for those that are, and it's fun because it's someone who actually is like, please take a picture of my cat. Like, please tag us and we'll tag you. It's someone who's willing to do that. So it's a good experience, but I haven't been like, oh, this was business changing or anything like that.
I think that's just a reminder not to post and ghost, right? Like
Sure.
so many practices just like schedule the post and then there's nobody going on
Walk
doing,
away.
and then
Yeah.
like what's the point really? Like you're
Yeah,
just
exactly.
being there,
Exactly.
but you're not there really. So
Yeah.
it's in the engagements and the responses and all of that where they start to feel your culture and who you
Right.
are and what you represent and feel heard and feel
Yeah.
and trust builds.
Yeah.
So and we know like it's really busy. We know how busy
Oh,
it is.
sure.
You
Sure.
just
Yeah.
have
And I
to
mean,
have a person who just comes on like once a day and just
right. Yeah. Yeah. And just notices, or like even just set up the right notifications so that you get notified.
yes.
So
Yeah.
silly.
So I think the last thing, which is probably like if we didn't mention this, it would be crazy, is AI. I mean, AI in the last year
Oh my
has
gosh.
just taken over, right? There is just so much going on with AI. I'm actually, it's like one of my goals this year is just to really nail down and learn how I can use AI better for social media and just for the business and for productivity and efficiency. And for me, always like I'm an automate girl, so whatever I
Yeah.
can automate, I want to. And so
Sure.
like that excites me that there is ways in which to automate. But how would you advise, just the regular vet rehab practice owner, like how to start with AI and how to use it for their marketing and social media?
Yeah, so I mean it's certainly a game changer, and I'm like you, it's a something that was exciting and new and technology, and if it could help me and save time, then I'm totally here for it. But I understand that a lot of people are afraid of it or just not interested, right? Like, why my things are working now, why do I need this? Um, so I think it's a mistake to ignore it. And the reality is, if you ignore it, I do think you'll be left behind to some degree, and you have an opportunity to be more efficient. Your staff is also probably using it. And so if you don't understand it, then I have the most fear of me not understanding it, my staff using it, and that impacting client relationships or patient care, and I have no way to intervene, right? Because I don't know what's going on. So from that standpoint, I think it's important to utilize. I think everybody should, start with ChatGPT, a free account, waste like 3 hours on there. Just like plan to waste 3 hours and like learn how it works and test it and see what you're comfortable with. The other, general advice that I have for anyone getting started is just to not trust it, right? My biggest takeaway is that it is a cure for a blinking cursor. When you don't know how to get started, you're having trouble like formulating a plan or putting your thoughts into a cohesive sentence or paragraph, it will help you get there. But you need to read it and edit it. So I don't trust it for anything. So
No.
it's a springboard and an efficiency step, but I can't just be like, yep, done, send this to the client or add this to the medical record. So you just have to come to understanding that, I think. As far as marketing, I use it all the time. It's, probably the third most used website on my computer. And again, I'm not using it to 100% generate anything. I already have the ideas, I already have the thoughts, I already have the plan. It's refining, or it's helping me do things more efficiently. So the easiest things I can think of are social media captions. A lot of people
Mm.
have a hard time with the captions. Emails are great if you're like, hey, I need to send an email to my clients about the top 10 benefits of, acupuncture, and here's my general thoughts, or here's this handout I already have in my practice. Change this into an email or write a blog based on this so you can upload things in there. So helping you repurpose content is a key reason, because you probably already have the content. You just need it to be refreshed, or you need it in other formats. Um, And then, finally, reviews. It's a huge help for reviews because it's objective. It doesn't have a soul, right? So a lot of us, when we're dealing with responding to especially negative online reviews, we get into an emotional state because they've kind of attacked us or attacked our practice, or that is not what that happened, kind of thing. But it's a good way to objectively respond. So I use it for that all the time. And again, I'll put in 10 reviews and I'll say, oh, okay, here's my 10 reviews this week. I need to formulate individual and custom responses to all of these for my small animal practice or something like that. And I edit 9 of the 10 of them, but it's much easier for me to edit 1 word or 2 words and copy and paste than it is to sit down and be like, okay, how do I respond? So that's I can talk about AI all day long, but those are the big things I use it for.
I tell you what I really love it for is I'm a very like matter-of-fact person. So like, and I think that's from veterinary, right? Because when you write your notes, it's like, this is what I saw, duh. So when I write an email, I'm the kind of person that writes the email, then I have to go back and say, like, how are you? And, like make it actually like friendly, because I'm just like, somebody will say something and I'll just answer them. This is it. But then I don't have all the like friendly tone and all of that. So I usually like write my emails, and now I've actually got like a project where it literally converts my email and just like add a friendly tone and, like just make it sound a little bit more lighthearted and a little bit more friendly and not so like rough. And it knows how I would change it now. So it literally just changes that for me, and then I copy and paste it. And a new way that I've really been using it is if I see like a reel on Instagram and it's got a hook, something like, there's like sort of little sayings like, this is the one thing that, I never thought would be such a big change for my dog's mobility or whatever, but it'll be in another sort of niche. So it'll be like the one change that helped my online business or whatever. And then, if you copy that, I'll actually copy that. And then I'll go into ChatGPT and I'll say, this is my target audience, and these are the things that they are struggling with, and this is their desires, this is what they want. Can you rewrite this hook or similar hooks, 10 of them for me? And it must obviously relate to something that would be relatable to my target audience. And then it pumps out all these hooks, and then I'll generally find one that works. And sometimes I like 2, and then I'll just copy those 2. I'll say, I like these 2, put them together and make it 1. And then it does that. And then that's the hook that I use, and this has been working so well for me. Like literally, I think the first time I did this was about a week ago, and I'm just doing it all the time now. I'm like, And I've got a list. I've got an Insta Growth Blueprint, which I've created for my online business, veterinarians that are starting online businesses. And I've got like a list of different types of hooks, and whether it's growth content or nurture content. So now I actually just go in there and I'm like, okay, I want to grow my account, and I'll copy one of them and I'll put it in and write that exact prompt, which I've got saved now, and it just pumps out. And I'll get 80,000 views on it and like 100 new followers and 50 new leads or whatever from them. So it's really been working well for me. So guys, go give that a try. And this is like Hayden says, you just actually got to play around with it, so I never saw anybody else do that. I just thought and because sometimes you'll make those hooks and then they just don't resonate, right? So I thought, well, let me get some help. Let me see if ChatGPT can help me a little bit. You can even ask ChatGPT for what you want. Like I'll say, I want this to elicit emotion in my ideal client, so you can actually tell them what you're hoping. Like, and I would advise that, especially with the hooks. It like you say, it doesn't really have any feeling or anything. So it can be matter of fact if you don't tell it to be
and tell it, like, if it gives you something you don't like. I think that's the other thing that a lot of people don't know when they're starting out. If it gives you something and you're like, nah, that wasn't great, like tell it, and I'm, typical Midwesterner that I'm like, thank you, but I'm always like being very polite, like with this robot. But when you tell it, over time it learns, right? So it
Yeah.
will learn how your preferences, it will learn your style and things like that. So, when I first started doing it, it was very, you say you're a vet clinic or you're a veterinary professional, it's like very cutesy, like paw print emojis and hearts and fuzzy hugs and like stuff like that, which is not me. I mean, not that I'm
Yeah.
not that I'm mean, but it's just I'm not, that's not how I
Yeah.
you know this, but so trying to get it to understand, and now it doesn't even do that for me. So,
Yeah.
it will learn, and it's okay to tell it
Yeah.
to make it better.
Love it. Caitlin, it's been so awesome chatting to you
Yes.
about this. And yeah, I hope for everyone that they've learned a lot. And yeah, these things are changing all the time. So if you are looking to update your social media, I don't know when 2.0 is coming out, but
Uh,
Caitlin
Hopefully, yeah,
has,
this summer probably. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
she's got an
Get through
amazing
this.
textbook, guys. And I actually was just reading it the other day. There's so
Okay.
much information in here. So if somebody wants to get your textbook, where would they go?
Amazon is the best place.
So yeah, social media and marketing for veterinary professionals. Guys, go and check it out. It's just really, really a cool book. Caitlin, thanks so much for your time. It's been so awesome chatting again.
Yes.
So
Always good to
next
see you.
one, 2026, right?
All right. Yeah, let's put it on the calendar.
With the 3.0 for that year.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
Thanks so
Thank you
much.
so much. Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. I'm here every week talking to vet rehab therapists from all over the world about all things vet rehab. A big thanks to our sponsor, Paw Prosper. Their sponsorship allows us to be able to give this podcast to you for free, so please go and check them out at pawprosper.com. Don't forget to bookmark the next Vet Rehab Summit on Saturday, the 8th of November, 2025. Come and be a part of the world's largest online veterinary rehabilitation conference created specifically for you, the vet rehabber community. Online Pet Health members get VIP complimentary access to the Vet Rehab Summit. For more information about continuing education for vet rehabbers, you can go to onlinepethealth.com.